Yo, 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 Space Monkeys! Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm your host, Robert Durden. I'm here with Ian Berg. We're just going to be spitballing tonight. We'll definitely hit political topics. We might get personal. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be bananas. Both having a drink. I just smoked. I think it's time to just have some fun. I do want to do one thing tonight. I feel like I haven't been making fun of Republicans enough. So I'm just going to take jabs at whoever, as we're talking, I'm just going to rip on people as they come to me. The one guy I'd like to start off with making fun of, and I've already made fun of him on the show before, but he warrants another teasing, is DeJoy, Postmaster General.
Okay.
So he was recently, I think as early as yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, he was in a meeting with Congress where they were basically like, you know, they're seeing how the Postal Service is doing, and they asked him, Mark Pocan actually asked him to grade himself on an A to F scale, and he gave himself an A. Like, oh, dude, it's so...
So, he removed mailboxes.
Yep.
He got rid of new sorting machines.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He made it to where they can't have overtime.
Yep.
So, mail got backed up, mail got lost, mail didn't get delivered. So he could get more money because he owned stock in the United States Postal Service's competition, and he gave himself an A.
Yes, yeah. And it's...
What kind of narcissistic asshole gives himself an A when they know they're fucking up on purpose?
I know, and he got shredded. It's good. I'm glad he did. And then he also asked for money to implement his new plan, which is going to slow down the mail even further. It's going to remove one of the options for high-speed...
What's he need money for that?
Right. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's like if I go to a mechanic and I'm like, hey, man, right? He's like, look, $200, and I'll put really old oil that I just took out of this old Chevy into your car.
I'm going to make it worse, arguably, than it is right now, right?
Sold.
So, no, I don't know, but what he's doing also is that he's putting he wants to put all local mail and non-local mail on the same trucks.
I saw that. So if I wanted to mail something to you, which is silly, because we live in the same area, but if I wanted to mail something to you, you'd go to the post office, and then get loaded on with, like, the truck that's going to Chicago or whatever.
Right.
Drive around for a few days, come back,
yeah,
and then you get your packages.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Whereas, like, there is an option to send, especially small things, locally for nothing, and it takes a day.
Yeah.
And he wants to remove that and just put everything on the same trucks.
And my question is, why have they not? And granted, they can't fire him. But they can put people in office or in
the Board of Governors, yeah,
that could fire him.
Exactly.
And there's absolutely no reason for him to still be around.
Right, and everybody, even centrist Democrats in Congress, are pushing Joe Biden to do this. So I don't know why it hasn't happened. I literally do not know why it hasn't happened. He can either... Two options. He can fill up the board and make sure that... I think it's right now, there's nine board seats, but only 7 of them are taken up, and 5 of those 7 are Trump appointees.
Yes.
So what he would have to do is fill it out, so it'd be 5-4, and get 1 Trump appointee to vote for getting rid of DeJoy. And they said this is the easier, more pragmatic approach, just fire all of them. It's been done before, fire all of them, and just put a new 9 in. You can stack it as bad as you want.
Now this is old news, but talking about, fire all of them, put new ones in. There might be like a transitional period where things are a little hectic, but can it get worse? Probably not. Unless
probably
DeJoy has his way.
He's literally trying to make it as bad as possible.
But there was a time. Articles came out. A lot of media breezed over this. They didn't even cover it. They'd rather cover Trump's mean tweets. But there were so many vacant government seats under Trump that National Security Administration said, we are in danger because there are no figureheads. There are no bosses appointed. And Trump just left places...
I didn't know that.
Vacant. Yeah, a lot of people don't, because no one covered that story.
It's bananas. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and so, a lot of libertarians mention how big government is a problem. Well, big government's a problem if it's like bloated, useless government. So, for instance, the Department of Agriculture, a lot of people say we don't really need that anymore. It's just a waste of money. I really don't know all the details about the Department of Agriculture, so I can't go way into it. But I do know that there are a lot of government agencies that are run by non-elected officials, and they do control a lot of things. And I'd be okay with, like, reevaluating some of those and axing some of those. And the fact that so many of them went so long under Trump with no boss at all.
Yeah.
And they're still getting funding, they're still getting money. I don't know if they were running well or if everybody's just like, well, I ain't got a boss, I guess I'm just going home. But the fact that that happened is mind-boggling to me. And people come up to me, you know, because we live in the Midwest. It's just Trump country. I used to work with a guy, he owned a Hummer. He had a Trump flag and a don't step on me flag, and he had, like, gun decal stickers. You know, it's fine if you like snakes and Trump and guns and whatever, but he had that up even after the 2020 election.
Really? Yeah, well, who did? And which Trumpists took down their flags the day that they lost.
Yes, and
they kept them up for weeks, all of them.
And so we talk to Trumpists a lot, and a lot of them think that he was doing a very good job. He wasn't. I chalk it up to just being uninformed or misinformed, but I don't blame him if hardly anyone knows that story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know it, and I got my finger on the pulse basically all day
long.
And
so, the fact that DeJoy is still in office, just, I'm sure Biden or somebody in Biden's family or a whole bunch of people in the Senate or Congress also have stake in companies that would benefit from UPS just being crappy.
Yeah.
I mean, I ordered stuff the other day, and I had the option that would be like $10 cheaper to use UPS and FedEx ground and get it like 3 days later, or just like add $10 and get everything through FedEx ground and get it faster. Well, of course I want my stuff faster.
And see, Biden, you know, he's a capitalist to his heart too.
Yeah.
He's certainly up for privatizing the U.S. mail. He just didn't say it like Trump did.
And
so that's probably why DeJoy's still there, is because no one's talking about him, no pressure's on him, he's not in the news. So what pressure is there to fire him? A lot of people have forgotten he's still there. So, and who's to say that they'll ever remember that he hasn't been fired unless we say something about it?
And let's be honest, the UPS is not there to make money. It's a service.
Right.
It's there to provide a service. It's to bring me the bills I hate and the junk mail I throw away. Okay? But it's nice to have the option to send things, and it's nice to know that FedEx could go under, UPS could go under, all the other options could go under, and UPS would still be there.
Yeah.
But, so we need it, and a lot of people say, well, it's a business, it doesn't make money. It's not supposed to make money.
No.
It's supposed to bring you your mail. And regardless of how shitty it is and how much in the hole it is, as long as you're going to get your mail, it's okay. But DeJoy needs to go so it can run well and we don't hate it as much.
It's so easy. So this is one of those things, I've been trying to really think of things that would be easy for Joe Biden to do, that we can pressure him on, that he doesn't have to push through the Senate, doesn't have to push through Congress. We should be able to push anything through the House that we want because we have the numbers, but we all know how that... We don't really have the numbers. A lot of those Democrats are just Republicans wearing blue ties to work.
Yes.
So I've been thinking, and that was one of them, I'm just like, if Louis DeJoy has to go, you know, there's the marijuana thing, and I don't want to go down the executive order list again, but that's why I was thinking about that. Why the hell he's still in there? Especially if you've seen him, he looks like a Bond villain, or not even, he's too stupid looking to be a Bond villain. Bond villains look debonair.
Does he have a cat?
Mr. Bigger's
That's the question.
But he should not be there. He's obviously an arrogant prick that was put in there straight up to rig the election by Trump. Why he's still in there is beyond me. Yeah. So, but that's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if anyone out there has, but you definitely should look up the Tim Ryan speech. It was an excellent speech. Tim Ryan is a bit of a hypocrite, but I do think he is a tad bit principled when it comes to how he votes. Okay. I think he definitely leads more towards unions and more towards, like, more of a libertarian point of view. He's kind of rallied behind stuff. He's definitely more of an ideologue. He definitely likes being on the Republican team and that kind of stuff and yada, yada, yada. And he's still a sleazy politician. But he made a speech basically yelling at the GOP about how they're going on about all this nonsense and not helping workers. And that was because he was pushing for them to vote for the PROS Act. And so I was looking it up before the show, and I was wondering, how Biden has been on unionization. And so I went to a website that had basically everything he's voted for and against, and it's basically down the middle. He typically votes for more union stuff, but I tried to look up a lot of the bills that he had signed through the past, and it's kind of like union stuff is speckled in for other things. There's very rarely any legislation that's just for unions and unions alone. They kind of squeeze other things in, and so I don't have 800 hours to sit and read through legislation that was signed in 1996. And so I didn't go over everything, but Joe Biden seems to be kind of down the middle, but leans more towards unionization. And the PROS Act is a great piece of legislation. And so I want to see more unions, because that would, one, appease workers. That would help workers in the U.S. It would also help appease libertarians and capitalists, because you wouldn't need big government.
Yep.
Now, I think unions got into a sticky position through the years, because what they did is they kind of got tangled up in the mob and the mafia, and then on top of that, I think that having unions donate to campaigns shouldn't be something that's really allowed. The unions should help the workers, and I get if they want to push people running that are more pro-worker.
Right.
But
should they be able to donate is the question.
Yeah, a lot of people stopped liking unions because, say you're a metal worker, you join a metal workers union, and you're Republican, and you find out the union that you're giving money to is giving your hard-earned money to a campaign, like to somebody running that you don't like.
Yeah, right.
And so I think unions and some other ones that should be pro-worker, they have a place, they have a job, and they shouldn't try to reach out for that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them basically saying, hey, we think that this person, maybe Bernie Sanders, is the most pro-union, and here's why, but you vote how you want to do it, and we're also not going to take any of your money and put it towards any campaigns. We're just not donating as an entity. Yeah. You guys can donate and vote how you want. But I'm just telling you, we think as a union, let's have a conversation. This person is pushing better legislation for us, cares more to fight for what we want. Mm-hmm. That's and if you're a union leader, to be like, yeah, I'm voting for this guy, but you do what you want, you know?
I mean, honestly, I'd like all the dark money out of politics.
Yeah, me too.
And I would like more places to be apolitical, but being in a late-stage capitalist society, they're going to push politicians that are going to benefit them. I wish that wasn't the case,
right.
But places like unions have their own place in society, and it should be completely out of politics.
Right, and as a strategy, though, I think that absolutely unions should donate. Because if the corporations are going to be donating, they're almost exclusively going to be donating to everybody that's right-wing.
Correct.
Including Democrats that are right-wing, corporatists. But unions, they don't donate to corporatists. No. They donate to people that are pro-union, which aren't corporatists. So it's like, it's not really the same thing. But again, on principle, I think that all of that dark money should be out, and all big money should be out of politics.
Right, and if you
I mean, I think as a strategy point of view, if we can't get the corporate money out of politics, we certainly can't try to get union money out of politics.
And if you can't get money out of politics, I think 100% transparency is a must.
Yeah.
It needs to be easy to find, so you can know, like, what company, and I'm not saying, like, these nonsense shell companies, somebody needs to do their homework and know who owns what, and how they believe.
It's tough,
and
man.
Granted, it would be a very dense, comprehensive list, but it needs to be done because if you follow the money, then you know how somebody's going to vote. And so the average American doesn't have the easiest time doing that because they make it intentionally difficult. You can't just type into Google, like, who donated to whatever. It's not that simple. They'll put it in... So one trick that wealthy people do is you can donate stocks. And so what'll happen is your stock's going to go down. You own a company, it's going to go down. So what you do is you'll donate the stocks to, and I don't know exactly all the lingo, but basically it's being held. So you'll donate the stock, and it'll be held until you decide who you're going to give it to. But you get to write off the value of when it was donated.
Okay.
So then your stock drops.
Yep.
But you get that
so you
tax
end up with a ton
credit.
of money. Yep.
Right. And then you can just keep that stock in that one area, and you never even have to donate it.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. And so, and then you have shell companies, you have PACs where people donate money, and it's like just thrown in with a whole bunch of other companies. So there's just like loopholes and all kinds of legislation that just makes it hard to track and easy to make money by doing it. And so it makes sense that they don't want you to know, because then you can kind of see through the game. And so if you are going to keep money in politics, which I don't see going anywhere anytime soon, you have all the Republicans doing nothing but filibuster. You have a lot of Democrats that are also Republicans that keep siding, they keep voting nay on things that people want,
and
like $15.
It's worse than that even, because you'd have to overturn Citizens United, and the Supreme Court is going to be Republican for like the next 40 years. So you can't overturn Citizens United without Democratic.
We need a progressive somewhere in office that can just come out and give them term limits. I don't understand why they're in for life. That is ridiculous.
Right, dude. You fucking kidding me with like John G. Roberts and Clarence Thomas? These motherfuckers. They should not be there. Like, good lord. And Merrick Garland, by the way, also should not be there. He's, like, I don't like him very much either. Certainly Brett Kavanaugh shouldn't be there. And what's that?
No, not at all.
Oh, good. Barnett or Barrett. God, I'm blanking on her name. Amy Coney Barrett.
Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. Talk about a ragtag group of retards.
And I didn't vote for Trump, okay? But I understand that half the country did, or less than half, but he won the Electoral College, which also needs to go.
Yes.
But either way, all right, I gave you your 4 years. You got to try your president. He was absolute shit, whatever. His tax plan was abysmal. His economic plans are abysmal. His foreign policy plans are abysmal. However, I will give him credit for North Korea. Good job on that one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
But a lot of things he did were terrible and not well thought out and done on a whim. And I'm pretty sure he was just a dumb racist.
Yep.
That just came into money. But that's neither here nor there. His judge picks, I have to live with basically till I die, or at least I'm close to dying.
Ridiculous.
My kids have to live with for the majority of their life. And so, if I want to give you your 4 years, or even your 8 years, that's one thing. But now, because the Democrats just let it happen, we're going to have to deal with this conservative panel of judges for the foreseeable future. And they're not going to stop it. They're not going to do anything about it. And there was actually a senator that came out with a video where he talked about how conservative panels almost always side with big corporations and more money in government. A senator came out and did this, and it was completely ignored by media, just like the other Trump story, because the people who own the media want more money in politics and...
Yeah, all the more reason why Citizens United is like the last thing that would ever overturning it to get money out of politics. It will never happen. You could expand the Supreme Court, but the Democrats would have to be motivated to do so. They're not motivated enough, really. They'll feign that they are, but they won't. It's the same thing with the filibuster. Yeah. They'll feign that they want it to go, but they won't actually fight for it.
Yeah.
So it's not going anywhere. Money in politics is here to stay. The only way that you beat people that have a ton of money going for their campaigns nowadays is that you have to make sure that while they're buying useless TV ads on networks that are losing viewership, you have to take over the internet and make sure you're beating them in the new technological era. Right. You have to catch them doing old, outdated stratagems. And just spend your money wisely. AOC was able to beat Joe Crowley for a reason. She put in more effort, obviously, too. But, like, you have to be willing to outwork them, but also beat them on social media beat them on new or put your name out there on things that people actually look at, not Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, because that's where they're going to put all their ads, but only boomers watch those now, and their viewership is tanking, as I said on a different show. So you can beat them because they're spending the money in the wrong areas, but they're still going to outraise you 10-1 every time, so you still have to...
Well, it's one thing also they're not addressing is more progressives and more lefties would win if they did something about the ridiculous and extreme gerrymandering that takes place. And so if you really want every vote to count, you have to make it to where the votes go where they should be going. And if you squeeze every single blue person in this tiny little thin district like you see in Texas, well, of course, Texas is always going to go to Republicans. And so that's one thing. So I knew Joe Biden was just going to be Obama 2.0. I knew he was still going to be hawkish on war. I knew that he was still going to deport people. I knew that he wasn't going to fundamentally change a lot of things that Trump did because he straight up came out and said that. But I thought he would do some good things, like change the tax laws and some other things that I mentioned on the show. But not at least reforming the filibuster is ridiculous.
Right.
Not changing or fighting for the change of gerrymandering laws is ridiculous. Not changing the tax plan is ridiculous. Bombing Syria is ridiculous. It's just like they don't even care about what the voters care about. Because they'll look at something like $15 minimum wage, which has tremendous Republican and Democratic support. They'll look at Medicare for All, which is very popular. They'll look at ending the wars, which is very popular. I think the last poll that was done years ago, and it's like 17% of people were okay with being in Afghanistan. And so what the voters want literally doesn't matter at all to any of these people, except a very select few. And so what we have to do is we have to be smart enough and educated enough and fight hard enough so when the time does come to vote, they realize that there is only so far that they can stretch it. The votes still do matter, and we have to get the corrupt ones out of office.
There was a study that came out that was all over the left a couple of weeks ago, and I've seen it on almost every show, and I'm going to break it down just real quickly. It was an awesome study, and it basically said that the bottom half or 80% of people, their votes really don't matter. And the top 10% of earners in America, their votes are the only ones that mattered. And they broke it down even further than that. Quantitatively, they're like, of the top 10%, if 10% of them want a bill passed, it will pass 10% of the time. If 60% of that top 10% wants a bill to pass, it will pass 60% of the time. If the entirety of the top 10% wants a bill to pass, it will pass 100% of the time. And what that tells you is that the influence in politics basically just comes from the donations from the top 10%.
Yeah.
And they've quantified it now. So basically, there really isn't much say you have as far as the bottom 50% until we seriously start taking over some of these seats, local governments like they did in Nevada. And you have to also get mean with some of the mainstream people and threaten to ruin their career and ruin some careers too.
Yeah, the trick is too. It's easy to get caught up in the game of the politics on the nationwide scale, the big stuff, the stuff in Washington that grabs your attention so easily, but small elections do matter a lot, and it depends. A lot of it, too, is your small elections will determine how they adjust funding for schools, and that will help with your children and them growing up to be smarter, to be more intelligent voters. And it'll change housing laws, and it'll change zoning laws, and all kinds of stuff. But so many people, including myself and including you, I know, are not as invested in local elections as we should be. And so I've actually started trying to look more into being an active voter in my community, because that's one place that my voice does matter more. And I might not be able to change what McConnell's doing or what Pelosi's doing, or what kind of aviators Biden's wearing that day when he decides that he wants to take a nap when he should be signing bills. Mm-hmm. But what I can do is make sure that the district I live in is taken care of and is represented well, and then that will expand from there.
Right.
And so I think everybody needs to really get into it,
I
even
think
if
so
it
too.
is absolutely, like, unequivocally boring.
It is, and that's the
be.
thing. It doesn't have the excitement that national election. And some people that aren't into politics just think that stuff is boring. So I can understand how this stuff falls to the wayside. On that note, our congressman here is uniquely vulnerable. His name is Darren LaHood, and he was not elected. I mean, he was elected recently, but he didn't take the seat initially via winning an election.
Yes.
Someone dropped out. I can't remember their name right now, but I've met him before. When I was working as a chiropractor, I met him at a dinner. Kate and I both met him, and this is an extremely right-wing district, but he is a weakling and a doofus. And I think that he can be beaten if somebody runs against him that has some left-wing morals. We are largely rural, but we do have a couple of cities. Bloomington's one of them.
Well, we're also very
Peoria's another
heavily
one.
union.
Yeah, that would help a lot. And I mean, LaHood, he has a history here, but he's definitely ultra right wing.
Right.
So he's also a doofus. And like, if you had to debate him, you could just run circles around him as a progressive.
The LaHood family in central Illinois, where we live, is kind of like a minor political dynasty. They've been filling small seats for a long time, and some LaHoods are not bad. They have passed some legislation that I think was beneficial towards Illinois, but there's definitely some that, like you say, are doofi.
And I think he is a doofus, man. He's the speech that he gave to us as chiropractors was the most uninspiring thing I've ever seen. It was, I mean, he's a nervous, awkward mess, and he like gels his hair like he's 15 years old.
They all
he's
do
like
that.
60. He's like 60 years
Every
old.
LaHood does that.
Yeah. Oh man, and I shook his hand. His hand is soft as like the inside of an oyster. It's like the softest fucking flesh
the
ever.
Grossest image.
No, it's
If
the
I
softest
shook somebody's hand that
ever.
felt like the inside of an oyster, I would think that he was some kind of strange Lovecraftian creature, and I should probably leave.
Oh yeah, right. No, and I don't know for a fact he's not a Lovecraftian creature.
Might be.
He might be like Kang and Kodos in
You're
The
screwed
Simpsons.
now,
He's a politician inside of, or he's like in a politician's suit. And
He's actually Haster. He's gonna spread insanity, and you just called him out on the internet.
Well,
so you're gonna be dead in a few days.
Dude, I'll make this promise to everybody watching. If you guys make this channel go bananas, and we have a really popular channel, and I'm super into politics, next time he goes up for election, and people know who I am, I'll fucking run against him. I don't care, and I won't win, but I'll go out there and trash him. Just get this channel going. I don't care. I'll run again. I'm a doctor. I'm gonna have a political channel. I've written 4 books. Like, why can't I run against him? I'm younger. I can out-debate that motherfucker. So,
I couldn't run in your district. I have a tattoo. They'd think I was the devil.
Yeah. Wait, right. Well, I will do the running, and I have no intention of beating him, but I will go out there and embarrass him and expose some things. And,
hey, look, if you can't win, have fun.
So, I had this idea, kind of going back to what you were just talking about, where you could run something what I call a kamikaze campaign, and you could literally run for Congress with not having the intention of winning, and even if you win, not having the intention of staying in there for a career. So the point is to basically go in there and shred the person that you're going up against, and expose some things. And I think that it would be successful because that's what Trump did.
Oh, yeah.
He just roasted everybody. He had no intention of winning. It was a PR stunt. He accidentally got elected. But it worked, and that's the thing. Americans want that a little bit. They are addicted to their entertainment. They like the idea of a roast, and the Democrats have not realized that yet. The days of decorum being attractive to the voters is passing and nearly passed.
Yeah, because we want truth. Granted, I would rather vote for somebody that might not have all the policy positions I am for, but I know they're honest. As opposed to somebody like Biden, who comes out and promises things that I want when I know he won't deliver. Like, you can look at voting records. You know who's lying. And you're coming out here and you're lying to my face. I want somebody who's going to tell me the truth. So if you come out and you're just unapologetically like, this is where I stand, this is what I believe, and this guy did this, and they're just glossing over it. Yeah, people would love that, even if you don't win. It's just because so many people want to come out, they want to put on this facade, they want to pretend to be X when they really want Y. And so I think that would
people are tired of it. And if you go in there and you make it clear to people as you're running that you don't want to be reelected, that you're basically like, I'm going to go in there with the intention of just rocking the boat and getting things for you guys, and then after I'm done with this isn't going to be a career for me. I'm doing this to get some things done for a few years, then I'll move on. I'll make my couple $100,000 while I'm in there, and I'll be set for life. But my intention is to make ruckus. Then you'll get reelected anyway, because people are going to be like, I like them. They don't even want to be there. They're just there to bitch slap people, and they're taking care of business because they're not bought and paid for, because they're not a career politician. They don't care about the position. They care about the policy.
Yeah, and the hard part is you won't have that money behind you, but if you're just unapologetically calling out everybody, you're going to make the news cycle.
Donation, yeah.
You won't need that donation to get money for, like, airtime. Because they'll have to talk about it.
You'll just go viral all the time. And that needs to happen. Trump was great at that. He was so good at controlling the news cycle. You have to do, basically, I wouldn't say a stunt, but I would say that, remember when AOC used to have those sit-ins outside Pelosi's office for climate change? What happened to that shit? That was awesome. Do that stuff.
Or when she came out, like, against private finance corporations that, like, shut down places like Toys R Us. Like, yes, please.
Yeah, but, like, I want more stuff that catches headlines. Like, I want you, drop the F-bomb. I don't care. Curse, if you have to, on the Senate floor. What are you going to do? They'll go, how bad your decorum, and you'll go viral. So
you don't even have to do that. You could just show up to work not in a suit.
Yeah, I mean...
And they'll cover you. Like, he just came to the Senate wearing pajamas with a cat, smoking a joint that said hug life.
Yeah, right? I mean...
And you could just act like normal... And people, you'll still make there's so many ways for you to just get the same kind of coverage and really control the news cycle and be seen and be heard without spending any money.
You're right.
And another good point about how the corporations kind of, there's this big filter where you can't win if you don't have a lot of money. But then you look at people like Bernie Sanders and a lot of other very popular grassroots candidates that made more or matched some of these big wig politicians by small dollar donations from everybody else. Now, it's easier for these kind of corrupt individuals to make money because they just have to talk to 15 people. Mm-hmm. You have to convince millions of people to be on your side. But I think the further along we go, the more we realize the internet's a powerful force. The average American voter with a few dollars in their pocket that they can spend is a powerful force. And so if you can control the news cycle and you can get those viral moments, people are going to want to join on your side. And that you'll make more money and you'll get more votes.
Yep. If I wrote the damn bill was... I wrote the motherfucking bill. He would have made 10 times the amount of money afterwards. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. No, I would love to see Brady say motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
I don't think he said that his whole life.
No.
Ever. He was probably getting arrested by those cops, and he was probably just being, like, super cordial while fighting him.
I don't know. Has he ever met Tom Perez?
I have no idea.
Because that might be what does it for him. But anyway, I think that it would be beneficial. That would be the way I would run, is just outwardly being like, listen, I'm not going in there to make a career of it. I'm going in there to rock the boat and get things done. And I'm going to go in there and fight, and I'm not going to make friends because I'm telling you right now I don't want to. I just want to go in there and crush these people.
Well, who wants to go make friends with a pit of snakes?
And you'll inherently have the trust of your voters if you go in there with the intention of not making friends, or with the intention of making enemies, because then they're like, oh, this person is enemies with the people that I am enemies with. I will vote, or I'm going to vote for them and donate to them. And there's no veneer of, no possibility that somebody thinks you're corrupt, because you're just like, I don't give a fuck about being reelected.
Yeah,
I just want to go in there and get things done. I'm not going to fundraise. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go in there every day and go viral and I'm going to learn everything about all these people. I'm going to expose them all. And I'm just going to take them down, and if I lose in my next election, so be it. I didn't want to do this anyway. I just wanted to come in and trash these people and fix the system as best I could in 2 to 4 years.
Yep. I also think it's important if media in this country changes, and we have more of a antagonistic media instead of just somebody that, if they like them, it's fawning praise. If they don't like them, it's absolute garbage.
Oh, good luck on that one. All of our mainstream media is propaganda.
Right,
so.
Yeah, even if you agree with somebody, sometimes you have to come out and you have to challenge their point of view. That never happens.
No.
Fox very rarely challenged Trump, and the people that did have moved to other networks. OAN never did, and Newsmax never did. And then you have people like MSN and CNN. They're just, oh, Biden, we love him. He's amazing, no matter what he does.
Right.
And they have segments about like how like he jogs and he has a dog and what he eats for breakfast. No one cares. Where's my goddamn $2,000?
I already know what Joe Biden eats for breakfast. It's shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know where to go from there. I don't know where to go from there. But you're right. I don't think we're gonna really get the media clean. Mainstream media is bought and paid for. You're never gonna. They're all owned by corporations. What you have to do is, with the advent of the internet, I guess we have a new niche to occupy, and you just have to hope that lefty media becomes prominent on the internet, and that the more or less the television networks just don't bring in that many viewers.
And the thing is too, with algorithm changes, a lot of lefty and even right wing, less so than left wing, but even right wing media, anybody who's independent has really just been cut out of making money off this platform. And so I think that's, in one aspect, that's a good thing, because, you know, when you and I come out and we talk to the people that listen to the show, we're not saying anything that we don't believe in because we're going to make money off of it. So I don't have to come here. I don't have to talk into this microphone. I don't have to talk to you. I do it because I want people to be informed, and I want them to know things. Just like the show we're going to do on HR1, which is so much stuff to read. But it's because we want people to know. It's not because we're getting paid by anybody. We haven't gotten ad revenue from this. You know, this is just what we do. And so I think it's easier to be honest when you're not doing it for monetary gain.
Yep,
and
for sure.
So that's definitely a plus. It stops it from being skewed, like, you know, the Young Turks have kind of gone down the middle instead of being leftist. I think because they make more money and they want to continue to make money. So it's definitely a problem when the people that benefit from certain policies run the media, because they're not going to want you to know certain things. Trump's Turnberry Resort wasn't reported on. The fact that Trump didn't appoint members was not reported on. And so the people that ran CNN and MSNBC, they always focus on his mean tweets in Russia, because they knew that wasn't going anywhere. They made all this money off of his tax cuts and his policies. Why would they want to get him out of office? They wouldn't.
No, and their ratings are in fact diving since he is gone. So they lost their villain that they've been talking about for the last 4 years. So it's actually beneficial for CNN and MSNBC. If Trump went back in office, their ratings would go up like crazy because they get their demon back.
I really hope he doesn't. He said he wasn't running.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
Apparently he's not going to do a 2024 bid. I know the Republican Party, like, he sent them a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Some other things.
I didn't read it.
So I don't know if he's not running under the Republican flag because he can't, or they won't let him, or what kind of legality they're using to kind of justify that. Or if he's going to try to do independent, even if it's not going to get him anything. So, but consensus is, so far, he's not going to be running in 2024.
I think he will. He's waiting for the time to drop it. The opportune moment to drop the... It doesn't behove him to say he's going to start running now. It behoves him to wait a year or two. And then start campaigning hard. And his donations will be off the charts at that point, with his base sitting and marinating for a couple of years, waiting for the news to drop.
Yeah, he's got time. I mean, the 4 years that Trump was in office was an eternity, and I'm sure with Biden it's going to be just as bad, and it's going to be easier after the midterms when the Republicans start taking seats.
Yeah.
And so he might kind of want to come in on that momentum, which I could see.
Yeah.
Because if the Republicans feel that they're underdogs, like, oh, we just got the House, oh, we just got the Senate, oh, let's take the presidency, and then Trump comes in, and he's just like, yeah, I'll save you, I'll rescue you, like, the election was stolen, yada, 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 and then all these Republicans are going to jump on that.
Yeah. I think he has a good chance of running, and he'll probably win. I don't see anyone else having a chance if he runs.
No.
And I don't know if the other Republicans that would run are all so insanely weak that if they ran against Kamala Harris, they might even lose. They're that bad. But if Trump runs again, he'll crush Kamala Harris.
Do you really not think Biden is going to make a run in 2024?
I don't think so at all. I think I think he might not even make it through the 4 years. I think he's obviously senile. And I mean, I only have 30 credits of neurology in my background, so I mean, what do I know?
No, yeah, he's definitely. The evidence is really hard to hide, and I don't know if people didn't even care because it was against Trump. I did hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he gaffes. He's always stuttered, and this and that." And the other thing is, like, what he does is not stuttering.
Right, I've never seen him stutter.
That is completely losing your train of thought mid-sentence. And although it's fairly normal for people to associate that with old age, that is, one, that's a misconception. You don't have to get senile as you age.
Right.
And two, it doesn't matter if it's normal for being old. You're the president, you should not be senile. And it is hard for him to hide. And yeah, you're probably right. He might try to run and just do another I'm just going to hide campaign and let his cabinet make all his decisions and Kamala Harris make all his decisions. But I think if we do 8 years, he's going to be sundowning hard. He's probably going to be walking around on the White House lawn not knowing where he is.
I think it's impossible. And here's when it can happen. And I haven't said this publicly, but I've always thought Kamala Harris would wait and then basically push for impeaching him on grounds that he's mentally incapable of assuming the seat of presidency. But you have to, if you want to, as a VP, have your 2 terms, you have to wait till after the 2nd year is over. So the opportune time for her to start sounding the alarm on Biden's mental incapabilities would be right after that 2nd year, and she'll just stab him in the back, man. She's an opportunist, absolutely. And I don't think they will impeach him, but they will start showing the spotlight on his gaffes and be like, I think we should probably run somebody other than him. And he'll probably finish out his 4 years, but his brain will be leaking out of his ears at the end of those 4 years.
I think it depends on his approval rating on how she acts.
Yeah.
She's not going to stab him in the back if he has a high approval rating, because then she'll look like the bad guy.
Right.
But I definitely do know that he's going to be too far gone to run again. And if he does run again, they're going to have to try really hard to hide him. And Kamala Harris, that is the worst VP pick. I don't know how anybody made that decision.
It's bad. I could have predicted it. It's because it's obvious identity politics. I was like, as soon as Joe Biden was president, I was on Facebook at the time. I hadn't started tweeting at the time, hadn't gotten on Twitter, but I immediately posted. I was like, it's either Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams. And then there was a month later, there was Stacey Abrams all super happy on that one show where she was being interviewed, and Biden was on there too. And I forget whose show it was, but Biden came on and he's basically hinting that she's not going to be VP, and her face was like,
yeah, not a good poker face.
Oh my god, it was hilarious. And then I was like, after that happened, I was like, it's not Abrams, it's going to be Harris. And I said it on Facebook, and it was a couple of weeks later.
Yeah,
because they knew he wasn't. They knew he needed to get the black vote. They knew he needed to get the women vote. So she checked all of the identity politics boxes.
Right. And she couldn't be a lefty. He couldn't have a lefty in.
And they all of the corporate interests really wanted Harris. They were they were all over her, saying that she was a front runner when all the primaries started. Yeah. They really wanted her. They would have done with Klobuchar or Buttigieg as well, but they really wanted Kamala Harris. So this really worked out well for everybody. I imagine that probably influenced Harris getting the VP pick over Abrams.
Harris reminds me of the person that rats you out to the manager just for no reason.
Yeah.
Just to look good.
I know, right?
You know? That's who she reminds me of. One of those people.
When she runs for president in 2024, she's going to look like Michael Jackson. Watch this. Watch. They're going to be indistinguishable.
Oh, yeah. She gets whiter every year.
Yeah.
Whiter every year.
Exactly. That's exactly what she's wanted. I don't have much more to... Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. It's escaping me at the moment. No, I'm blanking on it. It has nothing to do with policy. It was just somebody I wanted to make fun of, and I'm blanking on who it was. There's not a whole lot of standout Republican dummies because they don't have any power. So I don't feel like going after them so much.
They're being very quiet.
I mean, I could go after Mitch McConnell all day, but he has no power. Why would I go after him? I could go after Mitt Romney or whatever. But I mean, really, I don't care to punch down at people that don't have any power right now.
Yeah. And Ted Cruz has been hiding, but he'll fuck up soon.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's kind of like clockwork for him. Really.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up the show because I got nothing else unless you wanted to hit on any of the things that I've gone over the last couple of weeks.
To be honest, it's been really quiet. Basically, the Democrats are not doing anything, blaming it on the Republicans, even though the Republicans have no power, and that's kind of the way it's going. I know the PROS Act is a really good piece of legislation. I don't know everything that's in it. I'm definitely going to do more research, but the Tim Ryan speech was excellent. And the COVID Relief Act being signed is great. But yeah, nothing really newsworthy in my opinion has happened as of late. So just the same old, the kabuki theater, the nonsense. It's just not stopping.
Yep. Well, no surprises there. If you're out there and you're seeing all of this go down and you're tired of it, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Rob_Beekner, BUECHNER. You can follow him at Ian Berg, Ian_Berg, BERG. BERG. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. We'll do another episode relatively soon, maybe as early as a couple days from now. Mm-hmm. We'll see. See if we can get you over.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys later.